Hello, other students, Mr. Lawrence here, and we're doing factoring yet again. All right, we've got a rectangle, and I've given you the area of the rectangle and the dimensions in binomials, and your job is to tell me the measurements of the base and height, or the length and width. So remember, we know that to get the area, we have to multiply the base times the height, or perhaps you like length times width, and that's fine. So I'm going to take the base, which might be 8x plus 5, and the height, which would be 4x minus 3, and I need that to equal 138. I'm going to double distribute here, and I think I'm going to get a 32x squared. I got a positive 20 and a minus 24. I think I'm going to get a negative 4x there. All right, I'm skipping some steps. You can do it if you're paying attention. You heard me say a positive 20x and a minus 24x. All right, I get negative 4x, and then I'm going to get a negative 15. That's going to equal 138. All right, now remember, for a quadratic, I want it to equal 0, so I'm going to subtract 138 from both sides. And when I do that, I'm going to end up with 32x squared minus 4x minus 153. That'll equal 0. Now these are going to be some ugly numbers, but if I'm smart about it, I can figure out what they are. So I'm going to write down A, B, and C, right? A is going to be 32, B is going to equal negative 4, and C is going to equal negative 153. I'm going to multiply 153 times 32, and I'm ignoring the negative right now, right? Ignore the negative, but I do know that when I do this, I'm going to have to subtract. Now, I need the difference, since I'm subtracting, I need the difference of these two factors to be only 4. Well, if the difference were 0, it would be like a perfect square situation, right? It'd be like the same number minus the same number, or like a square root. So I'm going to take the square root of 4,896. It probably isn't a perfect square, but it'll help me guess and check my way to an answer without listing all the factors of 4,896. So it looks like it's just about 70, right around 70. I got 69 and 97 hundredths, and that's rounded, of course. So let me take some numbers around 70. In fact, I want a difference of 4. Let me go 2 away. Let me try 67. Let me try 67. So let's go 4,896 and divide it by 67. And I got 73. So that didn't quite work. Let me try 68. All right, so I'm going to do that. Divide by 68. Oh, and look at that, 68 and 72. Yeah, I've got 68 and 72. And the subtraction problem would be 68x minus 72x, right? I like a lot of you are doing that. I know I saw Bailey do that. I heard somebody second period do it too. I can't remember who did it. It might have been Justine. Anyway, so now I'm going to rewrite this trinomial as a 4-term polynomial, 32x squared. And I'll have a plus 68x and a minus 72x and a minus 153. Now I know some of you are freaking out going, I don't know if there's a GCF there. Well, let's work smart and not hard. Let's assume there is. There's obviously a negative 1, but there's probably more than that. But let's see what happens here. Well, let's find the GCF of 32 and 68. Well, let's see, if I list the factors of 32, 2 and 16, 3 doesn't work, 4 and 8, 5, 6, 7 won't work. Okay, I know 32 doesn't go in evenly. 16 though, 16 and 16 is 32. No, 16 is not going to work. 8 shouldn't go into 68, 34. Wait, 8 does, doesn't it? 68 divided by 8. Nope, doesn't work evenly. That's what I thought. 4 is definitely going in, so my GCF must be a 4x. Okay, so I'm going to have 4x times the quantity of 8x, right? Plus, half of that is 34, half of that is 17. Okay, now, here's where we can work really smart. I know you know that we're going to pull out some kind of negative, right? but you don't know the GCF. And to list them all out might get a little cumbersome here. 72 is going to have quite a few factors. But look, we need an 8x here. What number could we divide negative 72x by to get an 8x? How about a negative 9? Oh, that'll be interesting. That'll get me an 8x, won't it? All right. Well, let's see. Does 9 go into 153? 1 plus 5 plus 3 is 9. So 9 goes in, right? Remember I've talked about that trick and how you have to start practicing it? So I'm going to have a minus 9 here. And then I'm going to have an 8x. And I'm not sure what 153 divided by 9 is, but I'll bet you it's 17. And look at that. I just checked out my calculator. I am right. Okay. I didn't know the answer, but I figured it out. I didn't let the numbers intimidate me. So now I'm going to GCF one more time. So I'm going to pull out an 8x plus 17. Oop, that doesn't look much like a 17, does it? Let's see there. That's a little bit better. Okay, and then I'll have a 4x minus 9 left, and that'll equal 0. Now, some of you on your clusters were stopping here. You can't stop here. You have to set both parts of the equation, both factors, equal to 0, and then solve for x. And so on this one, I believe if I subtract 17, I'm going to get 8x is equal to negative 17. X is going to be a negative 2 1/8, I think. Yeah, 16 1/8. Yeah, negative 2 1/8. And over here, I'm going to add 9 to both sides. I'll get 4x equals 9. Divide by 4, divide by 4. X is going to equal, I think, 2 1/4. I think that's right. Yeah, 2 1/4. Okay, now, we're still not done with the problem. We have to go up to our rectangle. In fact, I can redraw it, I guess, if you want. And my dimensions were, let's see, I had 4x minus 3, right? 4x minus 3. And up here, I had an 8x plus 5. Now, if I put a negative 2 1/8 into either of these, aren't I going to get negative dimensions? I mean, pretend it was negative 2. 8 times negative 2, negative 16 plus 3. That's a negative dimension. I can't have a negative dimension. I'm throwing that answer away. I'm not erasing it. I'm just going to cross it out lightly so that the teacher can still see it. Now, in this one, let's see. Let's figure out what this is. It's going to be 8 times 2 1/4 plus 3. And if I get that, 8 times 2 1/4 plus 3, and I get 21. So this is going to be 21 inches. And then if I do 4 times 2 1/4 minus 3, well, 4 times 2 1/4 minus 3 is 6 inches. Okay, now there's a way to tell if I did this right. Let's multiply the 21 times the 6, and I get 126. And let's see. Uh-oh. I must have a mistake. Oh, I see my mistake. Do you see it? Yeah, that's not a plus 3. It's a plus 5 there. Okay. Good thing I'm checking my work. So it's a plus 5. And so it's actually 2 more. So that's a 23. Yeah, 23 inches. Now let's multiply 23 times 6. And look at that. We get 138 inches squared. So x equals 2 1/4. Okay, and then I could say it's 23 inches by 6 inches. There you go. That is your solution. This part answers the question. This part is the work, or the answer to the work that allows us to get the answer, the actual solution. All right. Now, I just want to talk really quick about using square roots to help us find factors. I'm going to double distribute these here. Okay, I guess I shouldn't have left those up, but that's okay. 10x squared minus 12 plus 15 plus 3x minus 18. And then here, if I had 48x squared minus 30, I'm just doing them in my head, minus 30 plus 40 would be a plus 10, right? Plus 10x and minus 25. Okay, now I'm going to take these away and pretend like I don't know them. Okay, we're going to pretend like we don't know them. In case you're wondering, this is how I create problems. I start with the answer and I work backwards because double distributing is the inverse of factoring. I want you to factor. I create a double distribution problem. All right. So now, normally to factor this, we would do A, B, C, right? A is going to equal 10, B is going to equal 3, and C is going to equal negative 18. I'd multiply 8 times C and get 180. I'm ignoring the negative. And I need to subtract them to get B, which is 3, right? Well, 3 is pretty close to 0. If this was 0x, I would need the same number minus the same number, right? Like 7x minus 7x, that would give me 0. But it's 3, so I'm going to find out what that same number might be. I'll take the approximate square root of 180. And when I do that, I get 13 4/10. Okay? Now, I need a number that's only, two numbers that are only 3 away from each other. Well, how about if I move about 1.5 away from 13 4/10? Well, 1.5 away on the low side would be about 12, wouldn't it? 1.5 on the high side would be 15, right? What's 12 times 15? 180. Yeah. Now, if you're wondering where I got the 1.5 of, I took half of 3. Half of 3 is 1.5. Now, I want it to subtract, and I want to get a positive 3, so I'll need negative 12 plus a 15, and there's the two factors that I'm going to use. Now, I'm not actually going to go and factor it. I'm just trying to demonstrate how I would use the square root to help me do a smarter form of guess and check instead of just randomly guessing. All right, same thing on this one. I've got A equal to 48, B equal to 10, and C equal to 25. Again, I'm ignoring the negative. I'm going to multiply 48 times 25, and that's going to be 1,200, quite a large number. Now, 10 is still pretty close to 0, especially when you're thinking about 1,200 and its factors. Let's take the approximate square root of 1,200. And when I do that, I get about 34 6/10, maybe 35. Now, I need to subtract to get a distance of 10, a difference of 10. Well, if I cut that in half, I get 5, don't I? What's about 5 above? Well, 5 above specifically would be 39 6/10, or better yet, 40. 5 below would be 29 6/10, right? 29 6/10, or rounded to 30. Hey, I wonder if 30 times 40 is 1,200. Well, 3 times 4 is 12, and 30 times 40 would be 1,200, right? So I need 30 and 40. And again, it would be a negative 30x and a positive 40x. So just trying to show you some number sense, build some number sense that help you on your journey. Okay, here's a problem here. It's a prism. I've given you 3 dimensions, and I've given you the volume. Oop, it says area. Silly me. I apologize. I am very tired. You don't realize how long this video has taken me to get ready. I made several mistakes, had to restart once. I'm a little bit tired. So, all right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply my 3 dimensions, right? And that should equal the volume. Now, I'm not going to distribute the 11 to this quantity and the 11 to that quantity. If I do that, I'm not multiplying by 11. I'm multiplying by 121. Look, if I had 11 times 5 times 2, would I do 11 times 5 and 11 times 2 and then multiply them together? No, of course not. I would do 5 times 2, which is 10, times 11, which is 110. I wouldn't do this double distributing. I wouldn't distribute. Some of you are like going distribute happy. To help keep you from making a mistake, if you're going to distribute first on the step, which is not wrong to do, it's a good idea, I strongly recommend that you multiply this quantity times that quantity first. Do your double distribution. Then if you want to distribute the 11, go ahead. Now, I don't think I'm going to distribute the 11. I will double distribute the quantities. And let's see, I'm going to get a 10x squared. That's going to be a minus 6x and a minus 15. So it's going to be a minus 21x. And then negative 3 times negative 3, positive 9. Now, the reason I'm not going to distribute the 11 through, I know this is a multiplication problem here. I'm going to divide by 11 on both sides and make my number smaller and easier to work with. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to get 10x squared minus 21x plus 9, and that's going to equal 209 divided by 11 is 19. All right. Hello, James. Would you like to say hello?
Hi.
So I'm going to subtract 19 from both sides to get it equal to 0. So I'll have 10x squared minus 21x minus 10. That'll equal 0. Now I do my ABC thing. Okay. And I've got 10, negative 21, negative 10. Hello, Nicole. Would you like to say hi?
Hi.
All right. So I'm going to multiply 8 times c and get 100. All right. Now I need to subtract, right, to get negative 21. Now, 21 is not so close to 0 considering 400, but I'm going to think about the factors of 100. Not 400, excuse me, 100. Well, I know that 4 times 25 is 100, right? Well, what if I did a positive 4 and a negative 25? I would get negative 21. There it is. So, you guys need to go upstairs, please. Okay, so I'm going to get 10x squared, and then I think I'm going to go with a minus 25x. I guess I should have stuck my x's over here. I really like how some of you are doing that. And then plus a 4x and minus a 10, and that'll equal 0. Now I'm ready to group. These problems aren't difficult. They are long. There's a lot of baby steps to them, but they're not difficult. All right, we're going to GCF this first group, and we're going to get 5x, I believe. And so we get 5x times 2x minus 5. And then we're going to get a 2 here, I'm pretty sure, plus a 2. We're going to get 2x minus a 5. That's good. It should have turned out that way. My GCF is a 2x minus 5. I'll be left with a 5x plus 2. Now I need to solve both. 2x minus 5 equals 0. I'm going to skip a few steps and get x equals 2.5. Okay, and then 5x plus 2 equals 0. Skip a few steps and I'll get x equals negative 2/5. Okay, well if I put negative 2/5 in, let's see what happens. Negative 2/5. Well, this will be a negative, and a negative minus a negative will get me a negative dimension. So I don't even need to consider that one. So now it's not just because it's negative, it's because it gives us a negative dimension. You always want to check. The other possible x is 2.5. So I'm going to do 5 times 2.5 minus 3. And let me see, 5 times 2.5, I think is going to be 12.5. Is that right? Well, I'm really tired. 5 times 2.5. Yeah, 12.5. So this is going to be 12.5 meters. This one's 11 meters. And then I'm going to do 2 times 2.5 minus 3. And that'll be 2, I think, right? 2 meters? Yeah, 2 times 2.5. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so now, just to check my work, I'm going to get 12.5 times 11 times 2. Uh-oh, it equals 275, so I goofed somewhere. Right? I goofed somewhere. Wow, I can't see my mistake here. Let me get rid of this. This is unnecessary work. Hopefully you caught my mistake. I wish you could tell me what it is right now. Let me see. All right, I like the negative 21. Right? Okay. 5x 2x, -5, 2x minus 5. I'm not seeing my mistake right now. I did have it equal to 209, right? Let me just check my math really quick. 2 times 2.5 minus 3. Yeah, that's 2. 5 times 2.5 minus 3 is 9.5. I forgot to subtract 3. There it is. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. That should be 9.5. Okay, so it's 9.5. I forgot to subtract 3, silly me. So that would be 9.5. And so now I'm going to do 11 times 9.5 times 2. And there we go. I get the 209. Okay, that's it for the video. Here's a video quiz problem. Now, the numbers are a little bit uglier. I'm trying to discourage those of you who insist on guessing and checking. This one won't be as friendly to guess and check on. You need to do it algebraically. If you guess and check on your test, I promise you 0 points. You must do an algebraic solution. If you don't like that, I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. You need to use algebra. Okay, Mr. Laurence signing off. Have a good night, everybody.